Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Create episode 4. It is 4 today. I had to count in my head real quick. Um, so I wanted to just first introduce this new segment, which is Teacher Feature, where during the school year, I want to feature how creativity is alive in the classrooms. And this doesn't have to be like a formal classroom in a public school. That's maybe what a lot of us think of when we hear classroom, but a classroom could be your home. A classroom could be your organization. But I just want to feature the way that we use teaching and practicing and modeling and building in public in a classroom setting where people are learning to be able to really connect with the material that they're learning. I'm going to introduce myself. Man, Donna, I'm a little rusty. So my name is Dan Roeder, and this is one of my biggest projects that I have going on right now is a cross-platform live stream where we're focusing on creativity and, of course, music. So I want to introduce my teacher feature for today and a good friend, colleague, collaborator, Donna Guerin. So Donna, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and can't wait to get the conversation started.
All right, absolutely. So my name is Donna Guerin. I'm the founder of Global Lighthouse Studios. We connect teachers and students around the world through the lens of music and the arts. And we collaborate quite a bit with several projects around the world. And I'm just happy to be here today. Anytime we're talking music, creativity, the arts, I love to be in the conversation. So thanks for having me here today.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the interesting things is that this is one of many collaborations, as you've mentioned, Donna. But you also have a life in a school. So I actually want to focus a little bit more on that, since this is kind of, like an all-encompassing how do the arts affect learning conversation. And so we work a lot in our nonprofits, David Z Foundation and Global Lighthouse Studios. But I want you to also feel free to share, what does it look like in the middle school classroom that you're teaching in? What does it look like in classrooms around the world? So I really want to open that up. So what do you teach? What's your day job?
My day job, yes. So I do teach middle school, and I teach currently speech and debate. But I have been a teacher. This is my 26th year in the classroom. I've taught pretty much every grade level, K through 12. And I, for some reason, really focus on middle school. I just love that age group. And I just want to say that creativity is just something I've always brought to my classroom. I can take any curriculum area and flip it and make it something to do with music and the arts. That's just how my brain functions. And just giving yourself, teachers are artists. They should see themselves that way. That's how I always believe. And so just giving yourself the freedom to be able to take any type of classroom curriculum and just make it fun, make it engaging. And the arts is the greatest way to do that, I've found over the years.
I absolutely 100% agree. So when you are teaching speech and debate, how do you get the students out of that writer's block? I imagine, like, beginning of the school year, we're talking about a lot of beginnings, right? Where you have to lay down the norms of the classroom. And eventually, once you get into the work, like, how do you get into that creative space of being able to actually speak publicly, which is huge, and then, the next step, debate. So that's I'm so interested in hearing how you do that.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, we just are getting started. So I actually did a really fun activity today where the students, since it's only like the third day, I put up a big smiley face on the board and I called him Mr. Whiteboard. And they had to go ahead and give their first speech. They had to introduce themselves and talk to Mr. Whiteboard. And so that's how I often get students to feel more comfortable to be creative, is I use humor a lot. And so I feel like when you kind of put humor out there and get students laughing, engagement just comes naturally, and just giving them that freedom to say like, "Hey, that's pretty funny," or it just kind of like eases them a little bit. And so I think that's probably the best way to describe how I teach.
Yeah, no, I'm reading. Yeah, reading between the lines. That's a form of low stakes practice where. So I'm just trying to picture this. Like you have the whiteboard. You have Mr. Whiteboard on the whiteboard. Are they like facing Mr. Whiteboard like back to the audience?
Like back to the audience. So he is the audience.
That
So,
is awesome.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm talking to them about eye contact. Like it seems silly, but we need to make eye contact with our audience, and our audience is Mr. Whiteboard. So, and
my
so
goodness,
Mr. Whiteboard will transform
wow.
tomorrow to look a little different. But each, while they're getting used to being able to talk in front of a group of people, why not make their audience an audience of one, giving them that confidence to be able to speak to someone.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Yeah, and that concept of the audience of one being taught on like day one, that's where a lot of entrepreneurs and teachers and business people strive to get to when they are really looking for that specialty or their niche, or like where are they most effective. As you know, I consider myself having multiple niches, so I would have like probably a whole bunch of emojis all over the whiteboard. But that is so cool. And so what they're really practicing is, number one, can you stand up in front of the class? Even though you're not looking at them, you're still physically in front of the class, but it's lower stakes. And then number two, can you make eye contact with somebody who will not and cannot judge you? So that is huge. I mean, that's like, I always look for those social emotional connections, and like the youth mental health. That's where one of the things that I really look for, especially in the arts, because it offers it in abundance. But that is amazing practice. Okay, so how do you get them into like turning around and like feeling comfortable now, where Mr. Whiteboard has transformed into ye crowd of judgmental 7th and 8th graders?
Well, I transform from Mr. Whiteboard, then we start doing it in small groups. So their audience now is a group of, say, 3 other students. So then they begin to feel more comfortable to be able to speak in front of them. And then we just naturally progress throughout the semester from a small group to maybe we combine 2 small groups, to then we're standing up in a group in front of the larger classroom, until eventually by the end they're able to stand up in front of everyone by themselves and feel confident. And so it's been really fun. I actually really have enjoyed it. We do TED Talks, we do Shark Tank, we do all kinds of fun projects, and so it is really fun, and it's always fun with middle schoolers. So.
Yeah, totally. Well, I taught high school, and one of my co-teachers might even be watching, Tatum Allheiser, and I co-taught team leadership, and that's a really cool, basically public speaking curriculum. But one of the things that, and this is a real name, Flip Flippin is the person who designed the curriculum. He had like the student be able to select 2 kind of like co-presenters or just really supporters, and so they just sit right next to them, one on either side, and they don't say a word. They they're not really there, but student feedback was that just having those people there, people that they kind of chose to have on stage with them, that's always a really good like scale from there's this whole audience of people just looking at me, and now like, well, there's a 1 in 3 chance they're looking at me. So yeah, I love things like that. That's so cool. I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I actually did not know a lot about the other classes that you teach. We just do a lot of music together.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So now, yeah. I think you read my mind. You read my mind.
Yeah. I just wanted to say one thing is that just over the years, giving students an opportunity to be able to share something that they created is so important. So, over the years, I've done film festivals with students as young as 4th graders. But just, to me, like that's the other important piece, is not only to bring art and music and creativity into your classroom, but then give students an opportunity to be able to share their learning and share whatever their creation is with others. I think that's just an important thing to note. So
It is, and that's a whole other set of skills, honestly, to be able to let go. And that's often what doesn't happen. When you have something that is kind of transactional for an assignment, like do this worksheet or do this, essay or whatever. There's that expectation of I will give it to you, you will give me feedback. But when you involve something with the arts, that's a little closer to real life because you have to know that it's done first or done enough. And I think there's kind of two struggles going on simultaneously. There's the struggle on the side of I just want to be done with this. Like, here, take a look, give me feedback. There's that where this is making me uncomfortable. This is work outside my comfort zone. But then there's that I'm not ready to let go. I want to hold this forever, and then it's never good enough, and I'm just gonna, literally bury it or burn it or something. And that's I tell people a lot about Brahms because we would have so many more symphonies by Brahms if he didn't burn most of them. So he just thought they were not good, and he would write out all the parts and everything, and come due date, he has nothing because he burned it. Anyway, I think that's a really amazing opportunity that maybe we don't focus on enough in education. When you involve something that is a little bit more subjective and personal and expressive, and linked to interest and engagement on the student level, that they have to have that capacity to let go and to say this is worth it, and then this is good enough. Those are two different questions. So when you come to any end of a project, it's not as transactional as it is relational, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And the importance of letting things build on each other. So maybe whatever you wrote or whatever you created or whatever you painted or whatever you did is not ready yet. So put that over here and maybe come back to it. Maybe in a year or two, you come back and you're like, oh, I remember once I started this, and bring it back out and see what happens. You can always revisit it.
Exactly. And then there's also a process where if something may have too many pieces, something's been turned in and it's maybe a song or a painting or whatever, but it's basically 3 assignments in one. And so you have to kind of teach that art of pulling things out, and that unity and cohesion and coherence and form. Form is a big scary word to some artists, myself included. So I'm that's why I think we get along really well, Donna, is that we I think I'm a lot more type B, with we can do this and this and this and this. And then, you're very, this has to happen, and then that, and then that. But we get along really well because we both kind of meet in the middle of that anything is possible,
Absolutely. And share that with students, right?
Exactly.
Anything is possible, whatever. I always go back to Disney. If you can dream it, you can do it, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah. If you can dream it, you can do it. Well, actually, we're already we're at the end of this segment already. So I think since it's just us, if you want to keep going for a little bit, I know we have a lot of things coming up together that we can talk about, kind of switching hats. First of all, though, I wanted to thank you for being the first teacher feature. And to anybody who is out there in a teaching realm, or maybe you teach business, maybe you teach your family how to do things. There are so many times and circumstances in life where we see ourselves in a role of teaching. So I'm really interested in hearing more stories like Donna's. And so attached to this, you'll find a link that I'll be posting, and it's to a Google form. I've also posted it on across a lot of platforms. Donna, I know you posted it as well. Just kind of getting this school year initiative started, where we're looking to highlight how do we infuse things with creativity. and especially in schools, like whatever that school looks like, whether it's homeschool or a charter school, a business school, college, public school, wherever we're doing the teaching and the learning, how can we infuse creativity into that? And I'll tell you one thing for sure: when you really consider arts integration into every classroom, then that's when we can be attending to a lot of the things that is expected of us as teachers. And now I'm talking like credentialed teachers in like the public school system, and there are mounting social emotional concerns, and especially also with technical education, career and technical education. What does AI look like in classrooms? Is that scary, or is it something that is just already been going on, or is it something that is up and coming and amazing? There's a lot of really rich discussions that we can have here, and I, for one, think that creativity belongs in every classroom because it belongs in every community. So communities are classrooms that are built out, right? And that's, I think, one of the things that I'm really excited about starting the school year with is the idea that let's have the tough conversations. Let's talk about AI. Let's talk about burnout. Let's talk about how we can not only create better learning experiences, whatever your teaching role is, but then also how can we maintain wellness for ourselves in those teaching roles. And so, Donna, I wanted, as we're transitioning and pivoting the conversation, I wanted to just ask you about like wellness and, what are some things that you have in your self-care toolkit to kind of, that really help you recharge and be able to get through another school year?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hate to be cliche here, but it is music. I actually call it music therapy. So depending on my mood, whether I'm setting up my classroom, so I need to listen to maybe like Foo Fighters and get myself like really jazzed up, or am I writing something, so I need to have something a little softer, some type of like, piano music or jazz music. I feel like music just kind of levels me out no matter what I'm doing in life. Music is my go-to for my toolkit of wellness.
Me too. And it's not cliche at all. And my distraction that you just saw was I just realized there are a lot of comments in chat. Jeremy Simpson, thank you for all your comments. I love this one. I want to highlight this. This is the first time we're trying this feature, so it should work. Look at that! Practice is not perfection. Perfection is more of a direction than a destination, and its connotation evolves over practice. Yes.
How do we allow people to? So Jeremy, since you're here and making some comments, if you'd like to be on the segment teacher feature, you just need to sign up. Just go on the link and go ahead and sign up.
You know what I can do? One of us can do in the next few minutes as we're talking is we can actually create the QR code for that. So I might go ahead and just do that. But first, Donna, I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about, like taking off your teacher hat now, and then, talking about that self-care of music. What kind of thing? Yes, switching hats. So many hats. And also, Jeremy, thank you for joining us and for engaging so much. I'm sorry I didn't see those comments before. This is amazing. I want to give you a chance to just talk about what you do at Global Lighthouse Studios, and give us the big picture. So I know you have a lot of different aspects to what you do. So what does that look like? Like, what's the overview?
Yeah, well, Global Lighthouse Studios is literally my dream come true. So like I said, I've been a teacher. This is my 26th year in the classroom, but I got involved in global education in 2015 when I was introduced to the SDGs. And ever since, I have just loved being a part of global education. The people I've met, sometimes in person, most of them are just online virtual friends that I've had for 9 years now. But what we do is we connect teachers and students around the world, but through that lens of music and the arts, taking on and empowering youth to take on global challenges. So, for example, we have something coming up. We're working with Stephen Ritz and the Green Bronx Machine, and a dear friend of ours that is the principal of Shining Star International in Dubai. And we are creating a curriculum integrating not only the Green Bronx Machine curriculum, which is wonderful, and I would encourage everyone to go check it out, but integrating that into creating music. And so we are super excited about that program. I can't wait to get started with those students at Shining Star. And so, again, that's something that you wouldn't typically think like, hey, I have this curriculum on growing indoor vertical gardens. Like, that's not something, although cooking and that is also an art form, but that's not something necessarily that you would think you would bring in creativity. But that's why I'm saying you can bring in creativity to no matter what you do. But I'm really proud to say that we started 3 years ago in June of 2021, and we only had 3 classrooms, and now we have 100 classrooms in over 70 countries. So it's pretty amazing. And if you're interested in learning more about Global Lighthouse Studios or want to get involved, you can just reach out to me on social media or through our website. So.
Oh, that is amazing. Okay, so I just happen to have the sponsorship levels for Garden Grooves already queued up. So if you're interested in that program, I think you mentioned we have the screening coming up on the 22nd, right?
Oh, I did not mention that.
You did not. Yeah.
No, I did not.
Like,
I left that part out. Yes. Yeah. So if you'd like to sign up for the film screening as well, that's going to be on August 22nd. Super excited about that one as well. It's a great film, just telling you the story of Stephen Ritz and the Green Bronx Machine, and his energy is untapped. We have to have him here as a guest because there's no one like him. He's incredible. His energy is infectious. And so if you'd like to join us for that, please go ahead and sign up for the film screening. That's also, you can get that on Global Lighthouse Studios website. There's a link to sign up.
Amazing. And what I'm putting up now let's see if I can do the reverse. Can I do it? Yes, I did it. So that's the teacher feature. If you would like to join us on the first segment of this show, settling in for the long haul right now, honestly, and just planning on a very structured school year. We have so many things that we've been, kind of building and trying and testing, but now it's time to really get into like the scale. Like here's how we work together, and here's how we build a community of teachers that are passionate about creating in the classroom. Creating opportunities for creativity in the classroom.
Love that.
Now I know. Yeah, right? I just thought of that. Yeah, so I'll put these both back up at the end, but just so that we don't have kind of overwhelm. Maybe it's just overwhelm for me. But I wanted to just kind of round out our show and just ask a couple questions. Number one, how do you think we can infuse more creativity into our practice without just adding something to the list? Like that's always the kicker. Like I'm talking habit stacking or something like that. How can we naturally infuse creativity into our day?
Well, I would just say, give yourself 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day, that's not a long time, right? So 5 minutes of class, maybe it's something fun when the students are entering or something fun when they're leaving. Just a way to be able to give them a moment just to open up their brain and think outside the box and, give students an opportunity to be able to feel comfortable to create.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, and that has so many ramifications, especially on behavior. And that's, if you really take that intentional time and don't let it be like the 5 minutes that get sucked into like giving more homework or going back and making sure you get every objective in the lesson. This is a hot take. I'm going to warn people. But very often, and I think, I would say almost every time, you can favor the humans in the room and connecting with the humans in the room over one more standard. Because here's how it works. When you give them that 5 minutes of time to connect and to create a classroom community that they're really bought into, and that's not a facade, maybe we'll dig into that in another episode. There are definitely ways to structure a classroom community facade. But if you're interested in cultivating that thriving classroom community, there has to be the opportunity cost. So there has to be 5 minutes of something that you intentionally infuse with the arts or intentionally replace with the arts. Because one of my favorite quotes, and I will like stand on this hill till there's nobody else screaming it. But Dr. Imandino Yang's really famous quote, "It is neurobiologically impossible to learn something deeply you don't care about." So no matter how many times we say, you need to remember this. Why? It's important. Why? Because you need to remember it. Like there's circular logic there, right? Like that's not building connection. When somebody says why, you can say, I don't know, how can we investigate that? Or, this is kind of the last, backup plan. What do you think? So, the students catch that a mile away. But I just, brief story. Today I started teaching, co-teaching a music camp at Spokane Public Library with the music ed specialist there, Andy Rubsey. And it's been amazing. He's an incredible teacher. And we had so much high energy, that it's really easy once you're in like this formal classroom structure to kind of say, nope, you need to just stop. We're all going to do the same thing together. This is really important, people. Like we've got to do this by this time or else what, and so it was really fun taking some of that energy and turning it, you churn it into something else. You say, yes, I accept this is what you're coming in with. We all come in with something. But how can we make the best experience of a classroom? And then, what can we learn together? So back to what I was saying, like here's how it works with standards, is if you have deeply investigative work that is based in inquiry and interest and meaningful work, then the students will see it. They'll see it right away. And that happened in this music class today, where we got into that thing that always happens in any songwriting class, where we start talking about music theory. And then you can see like the attention scale go down, like done, crickets chirping, like, okay, well, why don't we sing together? And then you demonstrate music theory in real time. Like we actually just, this was like off the hip. We just, there were some kids that really liked the Beatles. There was an 8-year-old who already said he had a Beatles phase he had gone through. I'm like, wow, that's prolific. Yeah. But then we sang Hey Jude, and we just used it as an opportunity to harmonize with each other, and then point out, hey, that was generative work. That was creative work. You made up your own stuff. And then we kind of like pass the mic. We're like, all right, now pretend you're doing an electric guitar solo, but all you can say is nah, in the song Hey Jude. So it was so fun, but that's how creativity can change the temperature of any room. So Don, I just was talking for I gave a monologue. I want to give you a chance for any closing thoughts, and then we'll end here.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I was just going to mention is that there's been some stuff in the chat about practicing failure, and I mean, come on now, we're experts at that. Daniel and I practice failing on the daily, but I think it is important to show, the other humans in the room, as you say, whether they're, students or their colleagues or whoever they are, that it's okay, that you're a human too, and that sometimes you make mistakes, and that's okay. And I think that's important to let people, again, when you're trying to instill that creativity and give students freedom to be able to be creative, you have to show them that you're willing to take a risk as well, and you're willing to try something because it might epically fail, but that's okay, because that's what we're going to be comfortable here with one another, and we're going to be okay if we make a mistake. So
Absolutely. I just wanted to highlight another thing that Jeremy said. Jeremy, thank you for all of this interaction in the chat. And I am pledging now from here on out to be more aware of the chat, because I realize it's easy to kind of have it, hide in the studio's view. But let them bring you music they like and then teach them about it. I love that. That is a great suggestion. And then, he followed by saying, I'm not a music teacher. But we all are, right? We all have that experience of music, right? And we can teach about our experience. And then you can teach, if they bring you that music, that, I love this thought of, all right, I can teach you some protocols and some methods for exploration and discovery and engagement and, digging deeper, and then eventually creating your own stuff. But always having that be more of a dialogue than a monologue is so important. And that's where, for me too, yeah, we definitely agree on a lot of things, Donna. But when you allow that dialogue to happen, once again, we see the anxious behaviors are subsided, because now we're, in a room where we belong. We have this, we're marching towards belonging all the time in a classroom, and that's part of that trajectory to self-actualization and that self-worth, that personal mission and vision and goal. That all starts with feeling like you have somewhere to belong. And when we can create those places of belonging wherever we go, then we're going to have a much more vibrant and connected world.
Absolutely. First thing to create is community. So I think that's a great way to close out our segment for today. Just create community, and once you create the community, then who knows where it'll take you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and here's one more quote from Jeremy, midwifery of thought. I love that, because that midwifery of thought, I can't remember who said it either. But that idea where we have a medium, where we can have that thought, and we can connect on it from a different angle, that opens perspective. And when you open your perspective to somebody else's, then that is where you can really dig into not just that self-awareness of belonging, but that social awareness of belonging in community. So yeah, to reiterate, Donna, what you said, just keep creating those spaces and keep creating. That should be the 2-word tagline for this.
That's right.
So let's create, keep creating.
I love that.
Well, thank you so much, Donna. And all right,
thanks for having me.
Go, absolutely, and everybody else, go make a beautiful day.
All right.